Level 1. Quiet Palace. You are sent to the quietest palace before sunrise, carrying nothing but a servant's badge, a change of plain clothes, and the uncomfortable feeling that no one has told you the real reason. The path to the Queen Mother's residence does not lead through the bright courtyards where ministers gather or the perfumed halls where young concubines compete for attention. It turns away from all of that, past silent stone lions, past red walls stained dark by years of rain, past corridors where the lanterns burn low even in the morning. The air changes first. It smells of sandalwood, old medicine, sealed paper, and something colder than age. No one laughs here. No one walks quickly. Even the guards at the outer gate speak as if their own voices might offend the curtains. You are told the Queen Mother is old, that she rarely leaves her chamber, that your duty is simple. Carry bitter tea, replace lamps, keep your eyes lowered, and never repeat anything you hear. It sounds like a dead-end post, a place where ambition is buried politely. Then you enter the inner hall. Thick curtains hang from carved beams. A phoenix screen stands before the main seat. Behind it you see only the outline of a small seated figure, one hand resting on the arm of a dark wooden chair. Every court lady in the room lowers her head before that hand moves. A minister twice your age kneels so deeply his sleeves touch the floor. The old woman behind the screen says one name, softly, and the minister begins to tremble. That is when you understand. This palace is quiet because everyone inside it is listening. Later, when you bring the first cup of medicine tea, the Queen Mother turns her face slightly toward you. Her eyes are old but not tired. Young men are useful, she says, because they do not yet know which secrets can kill them. You hold the tray with both hands, and for the first time in your life, silence feels louder than a command. Level 2, bitter tea. By the second morning, you learn that serving bitter tea in the Queen Mother's palace is not a simple task. The tray must be carried with both hands. The cup must face the same direction every time. The steam must still rise when it reaches the inner chamber, but not so strongly that it fogs the old woman's view of the room. Every detail has weight here. Every sound seems to land too loudly against the thick curtains and phoenix screens. You enter with your eyes lowered, but you begin to notice things anyway. The Queen Mother does not drink first, she watches. 3 guests have been summoned before sunrise, an old minister with swollen fingers, a court lady from the Empress's household, and a young royal cousin who keeps smiling as if youth itself is protection. You place tea before each of them, as instructed. The old minister touches the cup with both hands, but only after glancing at the wooden document box beside the Queen Mother's chair. The court lady refuses to touch hers until the Queen Mother lifts her own lid. The young cousin lifts his cup too quickly, then realizes no one else has drunk, and lowers it again with a nervous laugh. Behind the screen, the Queen Mother's hand moves once, not toward the tea, toward you. Remember that, she says. You do not know which part she means, so you remember all of it. The minister's glance, the court lady's delay, the cousin's false confidence. When the guests leave, the room becomes even quieter. The Queen Mother finally drinks, and her face does not change at the bitterness. A frightened man looks at the thing he fears before he looks at the person who threatens him, she says. A cautious woman waits to see who moves first. A foolish prince believes his blood will protect him from his own hands. You stand beside the table holding the empty tray and understand that she used the tea to measure them. Not their manners, their fear. Later in the outer corridor you hear servants whisper that the Queen Mother no longer rules anything. You look down at the bitter stain left inside the cup and know they are wrong. Some people rule by speaking. She rules by watching who cannot hide. Level 3. Old memory. On the 3rd evening, you are ordered to stand behind the thick curtain near the Queen Mother's memory room, holding a fresh lamp and pretending you are not listening. The room is smaller than the main chamber, but it feels heavier. Old portraits hang along the walls, their painted eyes dark with varnish and time. Wooden shelves hold sealed boxes, folded decrees, marriage notes, mourning records, and letters tied with faded thread. The air smells of dust, sandalwood, old ink, and medicine that has cooled too long. The Queen Mother sits beside a low table while two visitors kneel before her. A minister with a careful voice and a noblewoman whose jewels are too bright for such a quiet room. They speak of a current dispute between two families, pretending it is about land, ceremony, and old respect. The Queen Mother lets them speak until their words begin to sound safe. Then she says the name of a woman who died 26 years ago. The room changes. The noblewoman's hand freezes over her sleeve. The minister lowers his eyes too quickly. You do not know the dead woman's story, but everyone else does. And that is enough to frighten you. The Queen Mother remembers the wedding that joined two houses, the daughter who was sent away smiling, the dowry chest that arrived lighter than promised, the son born too early, the letter that was burned, and the servant who saw smoke behind the western hall. She does not raise her voice. She simply places each memory on the table like a stone until the visitors cannot move around them anymore. You call this dispute new? She says. It is old. You only waited for the people who remembered it to die. No one answers. Behind the curtain, your fingers tighten around the lamp. You begin to understand that the past in this palace is not gone. It is stored, labelled, folded, waiting for the right hand to open the correct box. When the visitors leave, the Queen Mother calls for you without turning her head. You step forward. She points to one sealed bundle on the second shelf. Bring me the marriage records tomorrow, she says. People lie most beautifully about love, blood, and inheritance. You bow and the lamp flame trembles in your hand. Until now you thought old memory was weakness, the last possession of people who had lost the present. In this room you learn the opposite. Memory is a blade that does not rust. Level 4 marriage records. The marriage records are kept in a cold side archive where even the servants seem afraid to breathe near the shelves. You arrive before the fourth bell with a wooden token from the Queen Mother's palace tucked inside your sleeve. The clerk at the door looks at it once and stops asking questions. Inside, the air is dry and sharp with dust, old ink, and paper that has survived longer than the people named on it. Rows of wooden boxes sit behind latticed doors, each one marked with faded tags. Daughters sent north, daughters sent west, sons adopted, widows remarried, alliances sealed, alliances broken. You were told to bring one box, but when the clerk slides it from the shelf, two other boxes shift with it, as if the past refuses to come apart cleanly. The box is heavier than it looks. By the time you carry it back through the silent corridor, your arms ache, and you understand that old paper can weigh more than armor. The Queen Mother is waiting behind the Phoenix screen when you return. She does not open the box immediately. She lets it sit between you and the court ladies until everyone in the room seems to feel its presence. Your voice sounds too young in the chamber. A princess from a lesser branch, a marriage to a border lord, a son recorded under another household. The Queen Mother lifts one finger and an old attendant opens the box. Inside are marriage contracts, family charts, witness seals, and one brittle page where the bride's name has been corrected, so carefully that a careless person would never notice. But the Queen Mother notices. She always notices. A wrong name can move a fortune, she says. A corrected name can move a throne. You stare at the page, feeling the room shrink around you. This is not romance preserved in paper. This is bloodline, property, legitimacy, and power disguised as wedding ink. The Queen Mother tells you that one marriage, written wrongly decades ago, allowed one branch of the royal family to call itself closer to the throne than it truly was. Another family kept silent because silence bought them land. A third family forgot because forgetting made them safe. She looks toward you at last. Bring me the second box tonight, she says, the one no one asks for. You bow with cold hands. Outside, the palace is still full of songs about love, loyalty, and noble unions. But in your arms, the old records tell a harsher truth. Marriages do not only join people. In the palace, they rearrange the future. Level 5 Forgotten Factions by the 5th day. You understand that the Queen Mother's palace is not isolated. It only looks that way to people who mistake silence for weakness. Your first errand sends you to an old embroidery room near the northern wall, where faded patterns hang from wooden frames and 3 elderly maids work under weak morning light. You carry no official decree, only a plain cloth pouch containing a broken jade button from the Queen Mother's sleeve. The oldest maid takes it without asking why. Her fingers are bent from years of sewing royal robes, but they move over the jade with careful recognition. So she remembers the winter banquet, the woman says. You do not know what that means. You only repeat the words until they settle in your memory. Your second errand takes you to a half-blind scribe in a small records office. A man everyone says lost favor 20 years ago. He laughs when he sees the Queen Mother's mark, but there is no joy in it. I wondered when she would open that wound again, he says, then gives you a folded list of names written in a hand too steady for someone nearly blind. Your third errand takes you to a retired guard who now sweeps an unused courtyard. He stands straighter when you mention the second box, and for one brief moment you see the soldier he used to be. Tell Her Majesty the Westgate captain still owes his life to her, he says. By sunset your sleeves carry no jewels, no weapons, no royal command, only fragments, winter banquet, old wound, Westgate captain, a debt unpaid. When you return, the Queen Mother listens from behind the Phoenix screen, while an attendant places each message beside the marriage records. People think factions die when their leaders lose titles, she says. They do not. They become servants, widows, clerks, old guards, women in quiet rooms with long memories. You look down at the names and understand that the palace beneath the palace is older than the one seen by ministers. The Queen Mother does not need to walk the corridors to reach them. Her memory walks for her, and now, so do you. Level 6 Crown Secret. The secret of the Crown Prince begins with a box that has no name on its outer tag. The Queen Mother orders you to bring it from the Forbidden Library after the evening bells, when the corridors between the old archive and the inner court are almost empty. A senior attendant gives you one small key, wrapped in black cloth, and tells you not to let the metal touch your skin. You do not ask why. In this palace, superstition and politics often wear the same face. The Forbidden Library smells of cold wax, old paper, and wood sealed against damp air. You find the box behind a row of family records, hidden not by a lock but by boredom. No one looks too closely at shelves they believe contain only dead names. When you bring it back, the Queen Mother dismisses everyone, except one old attendant, and you. That is the first warning. The second warning is the way the old attendant refuses to look at the box. Inside are birth records, physician notes, a torn strip of silk, and one register from the night the Crown Prince was born. You see 2 entries marked under the same hour, 2 infants carried through the eastern corridor, 2 wet nurses summoned, 1 royal physician dismissed before dawn, 1 maid transferred to a distant shrine and never returned. Your mouth goes dry as the pieces arrange themselves in your mind. The Queen Mother does not say the Crown Prince is false. She does not need to. She only touches the register with one thin finger and says, "A throne does not always stand because the blood is pure. Sometimes it stands because enough people agree not to ask when the blood was measured." You feel the room become smaller. Outside, the Crown Prince is spoken of as the future of the kingdom, the clean line from past to tomorrow. Inside this chamber, that future rests on old ink, one scraped name, and the silence of people who were rewarded or buried for forgetting. The Queen Mother closes the box. "If this truth walks freely," she says, "men who call themselves loyal will burn the country to prove they were born closer to power." She looks at you then, and you understand why young men are useful. Not because they are innocent, but because innocence can still be trained into obedience before it becomes judgment. Level 7. Loyalty Test. The test comes disguised as a mistake. Near midnight, you are sent to carry a sealed note from the Queen Mother's palace to the small tea room beside the western corridor. The instruction is simple: place it beneath the black lacquer tray and leave without speaking to anyone. You are halfway there when a woman steps out from behind a screen, dressed in the neat dark robes of the Empress's household. She is not young, not old, and her face carries the calm expression of someone who has survived many rooms by never seeming surprised. "You serve the Queen Mother now," she says. You lower your eyes and say nothing. She smiles faintly. "Then you must be tired of carrying old dust for an old woman." Her hand opens. Inside her palm is a silver coin, too clean and bright for a servant's corridor. I only need to know which box she opened. The note in your sleeve suddenly feels hot against your skin. You realize this is how loyalty is measured in the palace, not by grand vows, but by one quiet hallway, one polite voice, one coin, one question you could answer, and still pretend you had done nothing. You tell her you know nothing. She steps closer. That is never true. Men who carry sealed notes always know more than they admit. For one breath, you almost believe the test belongs to the Empress. Then you remember the Queen Mother's tea lesson. Frightened people look at what they fear first. This woman's eyes keep moving to your left sleeve. Not your face, not your hands, the sleeve. You bow, turn, and continue to the tea room without taking the coin. Beneath the black lacquer tray, you place the note exactly as ordered. When you return, the Queen Mother is waiting awake behind the phoenix screen. "Did she offer silver?" she asks. Your blood turns cold, you kneel. "Yes, Your Majesty." "Did you open the note?" "No." "Good," she says. An attendant retrieves the same note from beneath a second tray already beside her chair. The seal is unbroken. The Queen Mother opens it herself and shows you the blank paper inside. "There was nothing to betray," she says. "Only the kind of man you become when betrayal seems small." You remain kneeling, unable to speak. She does not praise you. That would make loyalty sound finished. Instead, she folds the blank page and places it beside the Crown Prince's box. "Now," she says, "we can begin giving you messages that matter." Level 8 Silent Tool. After the loyalty test, the Queen Mother no longer gives you tasks that look like errands. She gives you movements, a sealed box placed on the wrong shelf, a cup of tea carried to the Empress's outer room and left untouched, a name repeated near the western gate where the old guards pretend not to listen. Nothing you do looks important enough to accuse. That is what makes it powerful. By now, you know the hidden routes between the quiet palace and the louder parts of the court, the servant passage behind the throne hall, the narrow stair beside the record office, the corridor where court ladies pause to adjust their sleeves while trading news, the side door to the Queen's chamber that no official map admits exists. You move through them with lowered eyes and steady hands, carrying objects that mean more than they should. One afternoon, the Queen Mother instructs you to take a marriage record from one wooden box and place it inside another before the council clerks arrive. Your fingers hesitate over the paper. "Do not change the words," she says from behind the screen. "Change who finds them first." You obey. By evening, two factions that smiled at each other that morning are whispering accusations through their servants. A minister sends a polite inquiry to the Empress. The Empress sends no answer. The Crown Prince's tutor requests access to records he has never cared about before. No one mentions the Queen Mother. No one comes to her palace. No one dares. You begin to understand what it means to be her instrument. You are not ordered to strike anyone. You are ordered to move the room until others strike themselves. That night, you stand beside the old woman's chair while she drinks her medicine tea. "Power is cleanest," she says, "when no one can find the hand that used it." You look at her thin fingers around the cup, at the phoenix screen, at the sealed boxes waiting in the dark. A month ago, you believed authority needed soldiers, drums, banners, and shouted commands. Now, you know a kingdom can tilt because an old woman nods, a servant walks, and one forgotten document waits in the correct place for the wrong person to open it. Level 9 Bury Truth. The order comes on a night when rain turns the old palace windows black. The Queen Mother sends everyone away except you and the oldest attendant, then points to the Crown Prince's box without looking at it. Coal glows inside like a hidden wound. Beside it, the old attendant lays out 3 papers, the birth register, the physician's note, and the transfer record of the maid who vanished before dawn years ago. You have carried messages, moved boxes, watched factions turn on each other, and learned that truth in the palace is never clean. But this is different. This is not moving a document so the right person finds it. This is making sure no one ever does. The Queen Mother lifts the physician's note first. Her hand trembles once, not from doubt, you think, but from age. There is a woman still alive who could be saved by this, you say before fear can stop you. The old attendant closes her eyes. The Queen Mother does not look angry, that makes it worse. And there are 10,000 men who would die if it were opened at the wrong time, she answers. Outside, thunder rolls beyond the thick curtains. You stare at the papers, and imagine the Crown Prince in the main hall, the Empress behind her screen, ministers pretending loyalty while counting bloodlines, border families waiting for weakness, old factions waking like wolves. Is a truth still justice? The Queen Mother asks. If it becomes the knife that opens a civil war, you have no answer. That is the cruelty of the question. She places the first paper over the coals. The edge curls, blackens, and disappears into smoke. The smell of burning ink fills the room. You hate yourself for watching. You hate yourself more for understanding. When the last record turns to ash, the Queen Mother leans back as if something inside her has finally grown heavier than her body. Remember what was burned, she says. A lie should never be free. Someone must pay the price of carrying it. You look at the ashes, then at the old woman behind the screen, and realize she has not asked you to forget history. She has made you its grave. Level 10 throne stands by dawn. The smoke from the burned records has faded, but the smell remains in your sleeves. You walk behind the Queen Mother through the long corridor outside her palace, carrying the old wooden box that now feels lighter and heavier at the same time. Lighter because the papers are gone. Heavier because you remember what they said. The palace is waking beyond the thick curtains. Servants lighting lamps, guards changing posts, ministers preparing clean speeches for rooms built on dirty silence. Far ahead, through the open side passage, you can see the roofline of the throne hall glowing under the pale morning sky. It looks solid, eternal, untouchable. Now you know better. A throne can stand on gold, blood, law, soldiers, marriage, prayer, and ceremony. But sometimes it stands because one old woman chose which truth must never reach daylight. The Queen Mother walks slowly, one attendant at her side, her hand resting on a carved cane. No one who sees her would think she still holds the shape of the kingdom in her fingers. She looks old, small, almost fragile. Then a minister appears at the far end of the corridor, and bows so deeply his forehead nearly meets his sleeve. He is not bowing to age. He is bowing to memory. The Queen Mother stops beside a window where the morning light catches the lines on her face. You are angry, she says. You do not answer quickly. In another palace, silence might hide disobedience. Here, silence is an answer she already understands. Yes, you say at last. And you understand, she adds. That is the part you hate. Because you do. You understand the innocent woman who may never be cleared. You understand the prince whose crown might have shattered the country if questioned. You understand the families waiting for one crack in the bloodline to call their greed loyalty. You understand that truth can be holy and still arrive like fire in a dry field. The Queen Mother looks toward the throne hall. When I was young, I believed power meant choosing what was right, she says. Then I lived long enough to learn it often means choosing which wrong the kingdom can survive. For the first time, she sounds tired, not weak. Tired in the way stone becomes tired after holding a roof for too many winters. She turns away and continues walking, leaving you by the window with the wooden box in your hands. Below, the palace courtyards fill with movement. Court ladies cross in pairs. Guards raise banners. Ministers enter the throne hall. The Crown Prince will appear soon, wearing silk, gold, and a future built partly from ash. No one will see the burn marks on your memory. No one will know that last night, history changed shape inside a quiet room while the rest of the palace slept. You began as a low servant sent to carry bitter tea for an old woman everyone thought had stepped away from power. Now, you know why they still lower their voices near her curtains. She does not rule by sitting on the throne. She rules by knowing why the throne has not fallen. And you, the young man she chose, because you did not know which secrets could kill you, have become the keeper of one of them. That is the final truth of the Queen Mother's palace. The crown does not stand because every record is pure, every heir is certain, or every loyal man tells the truth. Sometimes the throne stands because someone buries the truth deep enough for a kingdom to keep breathing. And from this morning on, when you pass the throne hall and hear people praise the strength of the royal bloodline, you will feel the wooden box in your hands, smell smoke in your sleeves, and remember the old woman behind the Phoenix screen who taught you that silence is not the absence of power. Sometimes silence is the price power demands.